You've probably seen the headlines by now. Switch 2 consoles are apparently overheating, games are crashing, and handheld players are running into some serious heat issues. But here in Arizona, we don't need headlines to tell us it's hot outside. Now, I've been testing the new JSAUX cooling fan for Switch 2, and with my infrared thermometer in hand, we're gonna find out if it actually makes a difference or if it's just blowing hot air. Alright, let's start with the facts. Nintendo Life recently reported that Switch 2 owners are experiencing overheating problems. Some users mentioned frame rate drops, others said their games crashed mid-session, and a few even said they had full system shutdowns. We can see here that the article states the following, and it's titled, Switch 2 users are reporting instances of their consoles overheating and that without a fan you can't play for long. With the addition of a fan in the Switch 2's dock, we all knew that Nintendo's new console would probably kick out a bit more heat than its predecessor in order to manage the more technically demanding games. According to some folks in Japan, however, thanks to Nintendo Soup, their consoles are actually overheating. Multiple users have taken to X to relay instances in which their games have crashed, the console's fans have gone into overdrive, or in one case, their system simply became too hot to hold. Twitter user X1010Q stated the following, Switch 2 overheating, too intense, I couldn't even hold the console. Without a fan, you can't play for long. Meanwhile, another X user simply said, Switch 2 is overheating, and the fan noise is annoying. It's not entirely clear whether the Switch 2 consoles are definitely, irrefutably, overheating in these cases. However, as demonstrated with the tweet below, they merely mentioned that the fan's going nuts after an instance of Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma crashing, but we can't say for sure that this is the root cause. And the tweet states, first freeze on Switch 2, talked to an old man in Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, and it froze. The screen's still moving, background grass, swaying in the wind, but I can't control anything. The fan's going nuts, so maybe it's overheating. Autosave saved my butt. It's also important to keep in mind the environmental conditions in which Switch 2 is being played. Nintendo itself advises that users should not place the console near a heat source or in a location where heat can easily build up, while also ensuring that the air vent on the dock is not covered or obstructed, which I must say that all of that is common sense, but as I always say, common sense isn't so common anymore. So this is clearly a potential issue that Nintendo is very much aware of, and Nintendo Life says we can certainly attest to the console getting rather warm after a certain amount of time, but we haven't had any instances of the Switch 2 overheating yet, okay? That's the Nintendo Life article, but then there's another one too by WCCF Tech, and they also state that according to several reports, most of which are coming from Japan, some Nintendo Switch 2 units may be overheating, but there are a handful of articles and a handful of Twitter posts talking about the Switch 2 overheating. This is a different one as well right here. There's a report that came from Reddit, and the Reddit user said, I've had my Switch 2 display a message saying that the system was overheating and entering sleep mode twice now, both times while playing Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 Edition docked. I was also running at 2K resolution, which probably wasn't helping, but this is still worrying. Anybody else experience this? Wondering if I could have a faulty system, or maybe Tears of the Kingdom is just that intensive. Now, Nintendo may eventually address this with a firmware update, but even if they do, managing heat is still critical for battery health, system longevity, and overall performance. Now, I will say that I have dealt with this before. When I was playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on PS5 last year, my system crashed more than once, especially during longer sessions. Once I added a cooling station, those crashes completely disappeared, and I did review a cooling station on this channel. That's the one I'm referring to. Since I started using that, zero issues. So that experience taught me something, and that is sometimes heat is the silent killer of great gaming moments. That brings us to this, the JSAUX cooling fan, custom built for the Nintendo Switch 2, and it clips on seamlessly, has a clean, low profile design, and actively channels heat away from the system with a built-in fan that targets the rear vents. It also supports power delivery 3.0, 18-watt fast charging via USB-C, and even includes an adapter in the box so you can keep playing while staying cool. Full charge time is roughly 3 hours, which is on par with the official Nintendo charger. And this fan sounds great in theory, right? But we have to see how it works in practice. And that's what we all really want to know, right? Does it actually work? Now, I would like to note a few things based on JSAUX's website about what they're actually claiming. So they're saying that the cooling fan will cool the Switch 2 down quickly, and that before using the fan, it'll run around 37 degrees Celsius, and after that, it will cool it down to 30 degrees Celsius. So it's going to cool it by 7 degrees, and it should extend your playtime by 30%. And of course, keeping your system cooler will protect your Switch 2 battery life. It will help keep your performance stable. And they're advertising that it'll keep your system cool for 3 to 5 hours straight. Now, another thing that you might have a question about is, will it fit over a case? So you can see in this picture, it states total thickness of top and bottom case combined 4 millimeters plus 4 millimeters is 8 millimeters max. So again, you guys can see right here, if you have a case, make sure you measure that out. And this is what it would actually look like. So we'll test this out and see how well this fan works. I'm very excited. I'm gonna get this charged up right now. And then once it's fully charged, I'm gonna start playing the Switch 2 and see what the max temperature is playing without the fan. And then we're gonna try it again with the fan. All right. Babe, what game are you going to play for this heat test that we're going to do for the JSAUX fan?
Fantasy Life.
Okay, so here is the game plan, guys. Michaela is gonna play Fantasy Life. We're gonna set the timer. She's gonna play for 30 minutes, okay? And then once that 30 minutes is up, we are going to take this right here, the infrared thermometer. We're going to point it right at the back of the Switch where it heats up the most. We're gonna get the temperature. I'm gonna write it down. Then I am going to give Michaela the JSAUX cooling fan right here. And then we're gonna see what temperature the Switch 2 is at 30 minutes after that. Okay, so these are two tests, 30-minute intervals. Just gonna play Fantasy Life for 30 minutes. We're gonna see how hot it is. I'm gonna say, hey babe, take the fan, plug this baby in, and then we're gonna see how much it cools it down, okay? That's the test. We'll be back in 30 minutes. All right, guys, we're back. It's been about 32 minutes, okay? So a little over 30. And I'm gonna go ahead and go temp this right now. So, hi, here I am. Okay, here's the gun. Looking at 90.6. You guys can see the laser there. 90.5, 91.5. Okay, so let's just say it's between, I don't know, 90, 91. We'll go from there. Now we're gonna go ahead and put the fan on and see what happens. We're gonna give it another 30 minutes, okay? All right, this end right here goes over the fan, so there, snapped into place. And then right here turns it on, okay? And you guys can hear it, I'm sure. Yeah, there you go. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start the timer. Another 30 minutes, we'll see what happens, okay? All right, guys, it's been 30 minutes. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take the fan off of the unit, and then I'm gonna temp the same spot. So right on the back of the Switch, because that is where the heat really builds up, okay? So let's try this out. All right, again, I'm gonna just turn this off. Okay, temping. I'm showing 85.6. So when we temped it earlier, after playing for 30 minutes, it was temping at 90 to 91, and so we're at 85.6. And that falls in line pretty much with what they said. It actually works, it dropped the temperature. Now, Michaela, let me just ask you real quick, how was the sound of the fan? Did it bother you, honestly?
Okay. It kind of reminds me of being in an airplane. So it's just that dull white noise, but it doesn't seem like it was any louder than like a laptop fan when it kicks on when your laptop gets hot.
Okay, so it's like something that most people should be used to.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it too, because I could hear it from where I was sitting as I'm playing on the TV. And my thought is that if I'm playing handheld, I'm probably gonna have my headphones on also. There's a good chance, especially if I'm playing in public, I'm gonna have my headphones in, so I'm probably not even gonna hear it. Mm-hmm. Overall, would you say you're a big fan of it?
Yes.
All right, so there you go. There you have it, guys. Those are the details. Everything they said, it was true. All of it. After putting the fan through its paces with real-world testing and a few good Arizona heat waves, I've got a solid read on how well this fan performs. So let's wrap things up with my final thoughts and whether or not I think this is a must-have for your setup. If you mostly play docked in an air-conditioned room all the time, this might be optional. But if you play handheld even half the time or live somewhere warm like I do here in Arizona, this fan is absolutely worth it. It helped bring my temps down, kept performance smooth, and gave me confidence that I'm not slowly cooking my Switch 2's internals. Between the improved cooling, fast charging, and overall peace of mind, I think it's a smart pickup. And yeah, I'll say it, I'm a big fan of this. Seriously though, if you're a handheld first player, or just want to extend both your battery life and your battery's long-term health, this is an easy recommendation from me. I'll drop a link below if you want to check it out for yourself. Let me know in the comments, have you had any overheating issues with your Switch 2, or have you just noticed it running really warm? And if you found this helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss more Switch 2 reviews and accessories. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out the NintenByte podcast. We go live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Arizona time with Nintendo Prime, Gamebird Classic, Eric Moore, and a rotating lineup of new and returning guests each week. It's your weekly dose of Nintendo news, spicy takes, and plenty of laughs right here on the ThunderStash Gaming channel. And as always, remember, you're never too old to play video games.